Yes, so good evening, everyone. My name is Nirali Desai, and I'm the host for our today's discussion on depression. I have completed my master's in clinical psychology, and currently I'm working as a psychologist at Reach Out Counseling Center. And also, along with this, I am a career counselor at Holistry. I am a certified RECBT therapist and a workshop developer and facilitator. Hereby, I welcome you all, and I would request each one of you to introduce yourself. A very short and quick introduction. So, Hiral ma'am, would you please start?
Yeah. So myself, Hiral Khimani, I'm a consulting psychologist and I'm practicing from last 16 years. I'm a counseling psychologist and I'm a founder of Khyati Psychotherapy Center that is at Kalyan near Mumbai, that is at Thane.
Right.
And
Okay.
my expertise is basically a marital counseling and the career counseling. And I deal with a lot of cases depending from the children as well as to the geriatric cases. And I'm a RCA registered psychologist and as well as a UCLA certified career counselor from California.
Okay.
So this was just very short, and I deal into a lot of workshops as well as a lot of trainings also. So just
Okay.
a brief about me.
Right. Thank you, ma'am. Geeta, ma'am, please introduce yourself.
Yes, I'm a rehabilitation psychologist
Mhm.
as well as child guidance program counselor in a school. Have been involved in counseling and guidance to providing counseling and guidance to children for more than 8 years, and involved in mental health services also along with psychiatrist in a clinic where I'm dealing with cases of learning disability, autism, mental retardation, or
Right.
any other psychological issues.
Mhm.
That's all about me. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Madhuli, ma'am.
Hi, yeah, I'm Madhuli Kulkarni, and I'm actually a sports psychologist. I
Mhm.
have done my master's in industrial and organizational psychology. Then I did my
Okay.
MPhil in sports psychology. So for
Oh.
last 15 years, I've been working with athletes and coaches
Mhm.
at different levels and in different sports disciplines. So that's about me. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Dr. Ananya.
Yeah, hi, and I'm very happy to be here. I'm joining this talk for the first time. And just a brief about me, I have done my MD homeopathy with my specialization in psychiatry,
Mhm.
and I'm trained in play therapy and cognitive behavior therapy. I am working as associate professor in DY Patil Medical College, and at the same time, I am also attached with Emoticons India in Pune as a play therapist, as a psychotherapist, as
Mhm.
well as a trainer and PGCCP faculty. So I've been here in Pune practicing since last 7 years.
Okay. Welcome, ma'am, for the first time.
Thank you.
Bharti, ma'am, would you introduce yourself?
Hi, good evening everyone. This is Bharti Sharma, RCI registered counseling and rehabilitation psychologist. I have worked in clinical setting with all age group cases regarding anxiety, depression, dementia, schizophrenia, and
Okay.
learning disability, autism. And nowadays I'm working with the COVID helpline of DCPCR. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Uh, Chaya, can you introduce yourself? Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Uh, Chaya, are you there?
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. Good
Yes.
evening.
Yes, Chaya.
Yeah. Hi.
Hi.
Myself Shaya Joshi, rehabilitation psychologist,
Mhm.
registered in RCI. I have work experience in psychiatric and rehabilitation center. I have worked also with the addiction center.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Deepika, ma'am, please introduce yourself.
Yeah. I am Deepika Tarafdar. I am a senior counselor in schools in Shiliguri and Kolkata. I'm in sessions and counseling of the students as well as the teachers. I train the teachers also. And I have my own organization as Dipani and Core LLP. And I have a group of counselors working with me in Kolkata. I'm from Kolkata.
Okay.
That's
Thank
all.
you, ma'am. Are there two Deepika, ma'am, in the group, or is the same account?
I don't know.
Okay.
I have gone through this.
Okay, no problem. If there is another Deepika, ma'am, please introduce yourself.
I don't know if it has opened twice because I think I did it once only. I don't know.
No problem.
No idea.
No problem. Ramneet, can you introduce yourself?
Hi Nirali.
Hi, Ramneet.
Hi everyone. So I'm Ramneet Konrula. I'm a counseling psychologist, a cognitive hypnotic coach, and a corporate trainer. I am running the organization of the Grace of Mind by Ramneet, wherein I'm consisting many webinars which are run through this time. I'm into corporate training and counseling practices as well. So I've been the host for every session. She adds me as the host because I was there in the very first one.
Right, I remember that. And you did an amazing job.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All the best to everyone here.
Okay, let us start with our discussion.
Welcome, ma'am. Hello.
Hello.
Yes. So let us start with our discussion. Okay, so my first question would be, how does depression look like?
So you would like each one of us to tell, or how would you like to go about?
No, anyone would answer, like anybody who wants to answer, I'm okay with that.
Okay. I will go ahead with it.
Sure.
Basically the depression in a depressive phase, a person really feels very, very low, and there's a lot of low mood is being seen. The person is not at all interested in anything, and it can also manifest where the person actually becomes very lazy, lethargic kind of thing. I'll not use the term lazy. It would be a lot of lethargic. There would be a lot of sleep disturbance where the person sleeps too much or too little. Similarly, there is a appetite. They don't have a proper appetite. They may have a too less, or may overeat also. Overeat in a sense, they might have a lot of hunger, for emotional hunger they might even have. Okay. Might even have suicidal tendencies also. Child can be manifested in a sense that the child becomes very, very agitated or angry. So this kind of a thing, it lasts for currently from say 2 weeks. They can say that there is a depression in the person being seen.
Okay.
I want to share. May I share something?
Yes, please,
ma'am. Depression, we can say depression is a state of mind, or such a mental state where it seems like soul is departed from the body.
Okay.
शरीर से आत्मा चली गई है. We can't feel the things. We are sitting, we are observing everything, but we are in a state that we can't feel that. Such a miserable condition. This is a mental illness where, chemical imbalance in the brain plays such a havoc that other things are okay. There are so many symptoms, and these symptoms persist for more than 2-3 weeks, and at least once in a day or many times mood things happen. But depression is this in one word, what I wanted to share. Thank you.
I just want to add something, that when someone is depressed, and suppose that because I've had a case study like that where I had counseled a student, a teenage student, and the child had suicidal tendencies. So first time she had a suicidal tendency, she had come for counseling. So I told the parents to be very careful with her. But somehow, coming to me, CBT techniques, she started improving. The family members thought that she has improved, and she tried to show ways that she was not depressed. But I told them to be very careful. At that time, we have to be extremely careful, because after that, one day the child did it was his father's birthday. She celebrated. When a depressed person overdoes anything, then also we should see that there is a chemical imbalance, and actually the child or the person is very depressed. So depression at times may show a lot of overdoing of things. So there also it is depression only, because she again committed she went for suicide, but then she's over it. But this is also connected with depression, I think. So if it goes to acute depression.
Right. So what are
the signs? They show signs of positivity, but it's not so.
Okay. So what is that one or few factors I can say that would help us distinguish between pretending to be okay or pretending to be positive and actually being depressed? So what are those factors that help us distinguish between those?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, you can answer it, ma'am.
No, when we see a case where the child or where an adult was in a very depressed state for a long time, and all of a sudden, maybe due to counseling, we can feel that the person has totally changed. But over here, we have to be very alert as counselors as well as the nearby relatives, because if it has gone to acute depression, maybe he's thinking beyond something. So there we have to check many times. I mean, it needs a lot of working with depression first. As a counselor, we need to.
Yeah. Just to add to this. Yeah. Can I go ahead?
Yes.
Yeah, please go ahead. Please.
Yeah. So, as you rightly said, we have to be very careful and distinguish, because if we think clinically also, depression varies to a huge extent the way it presents in children, and the way it presents with adults, and the way it presents with geriatric population. Right. So in children, many times the case comes to us and it feels like, okay, it is oppositional defiant disorder probably, or a lot of behavioral issues, but actually what child is facing is going through a phase of depression.
Right.
Same way, one of the factors that I found in my practice to differentiate that whether this is a clinical depression is when a client or the patient starts attaching a global thought process of being worthlessness or being hopelessness or being helplessness.
Yes.
Right. So when there is a global attachment to every single thing of hopelessness, worthlessness, and helplessness, that definitely takes us to the domain that probably this depression is more of clinical in nature.
Okay. So the triangle of depression is something that we need to keep in mind.
Right.
Okay. Right. Was someone saying anything?
Yeah, this is Bharti. I would say that if you want to differentiate between normal and a depressed person, you can see that some changes, like they become socially withdrawn, they feel lack of energy.
Right.
So they were unable to take interest in activities which in those activities they were taking interest earlier, and they feel very, very frequently fatigability after slight efforts. So these are the symptoms, and they are unable to concentrate. They have impaired working memory sometimes. So these are the symptoms we can relate. The person is depressed. There is some difference in his or her personality.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Even there would be scrying spells also seen in the person who is having a depression kind of a thing. They will cry too much without any reason. They try to feel having like feeling of crying, and again a low confidence, low concentration. They start missing up the details. They start losing up the memory also.
Okay. Okay. So, there are people who generally interchangeably use sadness with depression. So, what would be your take on this?
See, basically, not to use the depression as a word, because depression is a very chronic term. Say, example, if your friend has not called you up, so you feel
Mm-hmm.
sad. Say that, अरे उसने call नहीं किया, मैं
Right.
depressed. So basically, in general population, this term is used very often, but then depression is a very chronic term. So it needs to be properly seen on the DSM-5 criteria when you actually want to give a diagnosis. So of anybody saying with having a kind of a depression. So by a population, not be in general public, the word depression is used very commonly and very frequently, which should
Yes,
not be.
definitely.
So DSM-5 criteria needs to be checked, and it should be like a person needs to go through that criteria to consider the person being a depressed. Just because he's in sad mood a day, it doesn't mean that he's having a depression kind of a thing. And in the day-to-day life, very often we see, people using these terms and terminology. वो तो depression में है, जो
Yes.
fail हो गई वो
Yes,
depression
yes.
में है. So just because the person is sad for 2 or 3 days doesn't mean that he is really depressed kind of.
Yeah.
Right. So sadness is a temporary change in your mood.
Yes, it's a
But
temporary
depression
change.
is
It
chronic.
is more of it's just an emotion. I mean, it's a
Yes,
basic
right.
emotion.
Can be regulated. Through emotion regulation, we come out of sadness.
Sadness is
But
it can be
persistent sadness.
monitored.
Okay,
Yeah, that I
okay,
agree to. Yeah.
okay.
And sadness, as ma'am rightly said, it's an emotion, and it's a very normal emotion, right?
Right, right.
It's like you need to feel sad when something happens. If you're not feeling sad, that itself is indicating some abnormalcy in you. So
Disorder, kind of,
sadness becomes a normal emotion, right?
basic-
Whereas, sorry, yeah,
I'm saying it's a basic emotion. Yeah.
Yes,
exactly,
yes,
exactly.
right.
And when we say depression, it's a syndrome. It's a constellation of multiple symptoms, not just low feeling or sadness. And sadness, which is pathological, which has started to impact our personal life, interpersonal relationships, professional life.
Right,
That
right.
is where we know that the sadness is going towards depression again. It is not a normal physiological emotion which is going on its own. And it is totally taking control of your entire life. That is where then the sadness no more remains sadness, and it goes into the depression wala symptom.
Right. Okay. So, what really stops people from coming out to others about their depression? Like, what are the possible reasons for that?
Some people might even think that going through a psychologist or seeking help is a sign of weakness. So
Right,
it shows very, very weak kind of a thing, and
right,
that actually really avoids people. Sometimes people may even feel that medications would be needed, and the person just wants to refrain themselves from taking medicines. So they might even feel that, okay, people may feel that I'm a mad kind of a person, and only mad person needs, or an abnormal person needs to go to a psychologist or through depression medicines. So that
right.
really refrains the person from approaching or seeking the help. And most of the client come up very late.
Right,
May
right.
I add something here?
Mhm.
First of all, I have seen that people are unaware about the symptoms. This is depression and they are
Right.
feeling low.
Yes.
And secondly, we have a stigma in our society. If you go to psychiatrist or some therapist, people, like ma'am said, people think that something wrong is going with this person. And there are a lack of resources also regarding treatment, appropriate treatment.
Right.
Sometimes we visit to physician, they are unable to understand what is happening. So these are points which adds
Okay.
I want to.
Okay. So
I would
can
like to add one point.
yes, Ramneet, please go ahead.
What I have realized is that people are unaware of the skills that counselors or we as psychologists are carrying, and
Right.
hence they also wonder that I will be judged, specifically when they are meeting a person who's a psychologist in their known area or circle of people.
Right.
So this factor of judgment, I will not be treated right, and my things will be spread ahead. Also, that psychologists are going to give medicines, like ma'am said rightly. So that's
Right.
also there.
Hmm.
I would also
Okay.
like to remind you, Nirali, we have 6 minutes around
Yes.
left, right?
Yes. Yes.
We need
So
to keep it
please, when the
precise.
meeting gets over, please rejoin the same link.
Okay.
Yeah. So can we say that lack of awareness and the fear of judgment are two main or major common symptoms, common reasons for people not coming out to others about their depression? Yeah.
Yes.
You know, yeah, so I have worked even in settings which was not very urban,
Right.
and one of the very common issue that I noticed in community
Mhm.
was not just awareness, but even a simple lack of availability of professionals. You know,
Okay.
as we know,
Okay. Right.
depression is not just limited to urban population. It is
Yes.
very much seen in the farmer of India as well, right? And there, you know, in cities like us, like Mumbai, Pune, big cities, we have a lot of facilities.
Right.
Our rather understanding that this is something wrong, or at least the family members understand, but they don't know whom to go to. And even if they might get to know, there is nothing available in their periphery, you know. So
Correct.
that itself becomes a huge obstacle for many people in rural India taking treatment or even approaching to understand what they're going through.
Right. Right. I get it. So it's mainly about the availability factor as well that plays a role in, talking about how you are feeling.
Yeah.
Okay. So, okay. Can we say that depression is one of the major reasons or the only reason for suicide? Geeta ma'am, would you like to answer?
Yeah, yeah. So depression is not only the reason for suicide.
Mm-hmm.
Suicide, yeah, in depression, suicidal feelings comes, but
Right.
energy level is so low that that time when a person is depressed, that
Mm-hmm.
time he or she can't go for can't try for suicide. There
Right.
are many other reasons like some kind of abuse, conflicts, or psychosocial uh, situations, family conflicts, or when hope goes from life, when a person becomes hopeless. So
Mm-hmm.
that a down state of self, a low state of being, so low that a person thinks that his or her existence is not going to be worthy in any way. That
Right.
that leads a person to suicide. In fact, only depression or depressed state is not the only factor to lead a person towards suicide. The relationship issues, family issues, so
Right.
many things, friends, peer group, image, self-image. So many factors are there.
I mean,
Thank
a feeling of worthlessness, you can say. When a feeling of worthlessness comes,
Mhm.
then the suicide tendencies are more.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Okay. But we can't say that depression would be the only factor or the major factor for suicide.
Right.
It
Okay.
it it it
Mm-hmm.
in matlab, statistically, if you see, at least 40 to 50%, rather 40 to 70% of the suicides come out of some or the other depressive disorders.
Yeah.
But you know, apart from that, there are still another 30% where depression may not be really there, and yet there is a suicide. Like, I would really
Okay.
like to share here one interesting aspect of this, which we call as copycat suicide. Okay.
Okay.
So
Okay.
copycat suicide is, yeah, it's basically which we literally saw this time after Sushant Singh's Rajput's news of probably he committing suicide came. The very
Yeah.
next day, another teenager wrote a note that if he can, I can, and he committed a suicide.
Okay.
Okay. Now, we don't know whether the teenager was into depression or not, but then this somewhere goes to that copycat suicide, which is identified as a particular scenario, which is defined as an emulation of another suicide that the person attempting suicide knows about, either from local news or from media coverage. So when all these news of suicide and media coverage goes on, and if vulnerable population are listening to it, they might not be really in an extreme depressive state, and yet the thoughts might get triggered, impulse might come, and they might act on it.
Okay.
So yeah,
That's
so
something
such
new
things
for me.
also.
And it really makes sense that those who are very vulnerable, in a vulnerable state already, if they listen to somebody else's suicide case, then it might affect them in some or the other way. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So how does depression affect people around the person who is depressed or their loved ones? How does depression affect them? Madhuri ma'am?
No, actually, I have a question if you permit me to answer.
Yeah,
I mean, to ask about the copycat suicide, what you said.
Yes.
Is there any signs or symptoms we can get? Because I mean, I am here. I haven't worked with any clinical depression so far, but yeah, I'm here because I have seen athletes go like down when they are out of the team, or when they practice so hard for 4 years and they are not able to achieve that, and then it's all down. So I just want to understand, is there any how do you know if
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Okay, yeah. So how do we know that it's going beyond, it needs therapy for that? So any sign symptoms that you can?
Yeah. Basically, as I said, it is related with vulnerable population, right? So if you already know your clients who are in some state of vulnerability, and if such incidences occurred around them, somebody in the media has run a news about some celebrity committing a suicide, or somebody whom they know might have committed a suicide, you might really enter and discuss about them, that what they are feeling about it, what are their thoughts about it. And many times you might see that the person says that initially he never thought about this option, but now this seems to be a tangible option. He might not really show an intent, but even if the thoughts are coming related to that, that might give you an indicator that okay, you need to intervene over here. And that's why if something of that sort happens, you might really bring up the discussion if you see that the person wants to talk about it or is pretty much disturbed about it. So that should pretty much help you to identify prior. But many of the times it might still happen that even after you do that, because it is so impulsive, it might not get 100% prevented. But definitely we can identify and try to intervene.
Thank you so much. Yeah, because this was very important for me, because athletes and when you see celebrities doing that,
Yes.
and thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ananya, for bringing this up. It was, for me personally, it was something new, and it is really interesting to know about it. So thank you. So coming back to the question, like, how does depression affect the people around them or their loved ones? So yes, Madhuri ma'am, can you please answer the question?
Well, I don't know exactly about clinical depression, but what I see in the athletes, like when I say that they really go down, I mean, most of the people, loved ones around them, they say that it's a passing phase. They'll come out of it. Second, they say that you are an athlete, you need to be stronger, you need to bounce back from that. So there's I would say that there's no acceptance to that maybe we need to understand what exactly he is going through. But it's like, okay, you have lost one, or you haven't been selected, so you can do it again. So these are the two things that I think of now.
Okay. Anybody else would like to answer the question? Like, how does depression affect the people around them?
See, basically
Yes.
in depression, because your mood is down, it really
Right.
affects a loved. Yeah, so all the interpersonal relationships as well as the social life of the individual as well as the family members tremendously goes a lot of change, because
Right.
there is a sudden change in the person's behavior and pattern and the rhythm, biological rhythm, and that's the reason there's a lot of interpersonal issues that takes place within the loved ones. They may be, if a person is having a kind of a marital relationship, if the spouse will be suffering because of
Right.
depression, or even the other family members, extended family members will also feel why such things have been come up, and it would really affect the entire interpersonal relationship as well as the family kind of the atmosphere in the house too.
Okay. Okay.
I would like to say that depression, what happens, the relationship, the positivity of the relationship of all the near and dear ones are disturbed. Like if the person
Right.
staying in a family, the parents will get disturbed, the his immediate family will get disturbed, and
Right.
also it starts working in the occupational part also, your colleagues, they may also get disturbed
Right. Okay.
because there may be a difficulty in relationship, difficulty in understanding,
Hmm.
and sometimes the outcomes can be very negative also.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
So can we
Yeah,
say the
I
family
I
members
want to
like?
add something here.
Yes, ma'am, please.
Yeah, like depressed parents, patients are having problem in interpersonal relationship,
Right.
and sometimes this behavior also leads to depression. Like they are dependent sometimes to take support from others in decision making and many things. So
Right.
other people show sympathy and mm, um, support also, but
Right.
sometimes it leads to social rejections also,
Yes.
that
Yes.
leads
Absolutely.
again depression.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah,
So
I would
can we
like to share
say yes, Geeta, ma'am, please continue.
this. Uh, See, if a person is depressed,
Hmm.
so and near and dear one, what happens? First of all, a state comes where, if I take example of parents,
Hmm.
so they come in, they are not able to accept that state immediately. They
Yes.
come in denial. They come in denial. They start bargaining. मेरे साथ
Yes.
ऐसा a mental shock, a full shock from within. कि मेरे साथ ऐसा क्यों हुआ? Why this happened? It takes time. Then they start understanding. Then they try to understand that, yeah, what is the fact, or what are the core concern, or what is happening with us. They come
Yes. Yes.
at that stage after some time, and then they accept and start working. It takes some time, and it shakes family fully, relationship, no doubt. There should be a very deep understanding and support in family, or with there should be a supportive circle in that state. Otherwise it becomes a big crisis, very crucial state, when there is no support and there are some conflicts in ideas, there are some difference in decision making, that what to be done, how to be done. So this all, and when we come to acceptance stage, then and we come on a common platform, yeah, this is to be done, and agree together, then the things start getting
Right.
okay, and we proceed towards management of depression.
Right.
This is practical example what I felt myself. That's why I'm sharing my own
Thank you so
feelings.
much for
Thanks a lot.
sharing, ma'am. So mainly we can say that the entire family, like their lives revolve around the person who is depressed, and the depressed person becomes dependable on their loved ones. So that also takes some kind of a mental toll on the people, right?
True.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Is depression completely curable? Like, how much time does it take for a person normally to come out of depression? Ananya ma'am, would you like to answer?
Yeah. So, in psychiatry, we always have something called a psychiatric formulation, wherein we try to understand a person, be it depression or anxiety, anything,
Right.
in that psychiatric formulation, which is made up of biopsychosocial factors
Yes.
and the etiological factors, right? Which
Right.
are your precipitating, predisposing, perpetuating, and protective factors, right?
Yes.
So, what I have seen in my experience, as well as literature many times says that these factors, the availability of psychology, how much is the inheritance part of it, how much is the
Right.
biology acting on it, all
Right.
these factors will determine that how much how what amount of cure we can achieve in depression and how persistent and sustained the cure would be.
Right.
Okay. Now, for example, I had cases which I treated in 2014 and which took around 6 months to come totally out of persistent depressive disorder, whereas some cases of major depressive disorder that I had took almost 2 years. So
Right.
depending on the availability of their psychological support, social support, their own personality factors. For
Right.
example, the cases where I had personality issues like dependent personality disorder hai, ya anxious personality, borderline personality
Yes.
traits hai. So in those cases, depression was coming because of the personality factors.
Right.
So unless and until that got it, depression was not completely getting settled. So then dealing with personality becomes a huge job. It took me even 3 years for some cases,
Right.
right?
Okay. Okay.
So cure by what time it will take is variable. At the
Right.
same time, how sustained it might remain is also highly variable, what I have experienced.
True.
But permanent cure is possible,
Mhm.
but may not be in
Okay.
100% cases. Again, depending on this
Right.
entire framework of
Exactly.
biopsychosocial factors.
So depending on the personality, availability of support, and also comorbidities that exist along with depression are all the factors that we need to consider to in order to understand like in what time span it could get cured.
Yeah.
Okay. Geeta ma'am, you had anything to say? No? Okay. Okay. Anybody else would like to add anything?
I would just like to add it also depends upon the person who is actually undergoing the depression. Say, for
Right.
example, client who is undergoing the depression, how well he is able to adhere to it, how well he is able to stick to the kind of treatment process that the person has advised,
Right.
or the
Right.
psychotherapy the person is taking. So even his own will, that also affects the individual's recovery process. So
Right.
if it
Right.
is, if the person really wants to come out of it, then he would really come out within 6 months. And if he sticks to
Okay.
the adheres to the treatment process properly, it should take approximately 6 months.
Okay.
But
So
again, it depends upon the comorbidity also.
right.
Whereas some treatments definitely takes longer than 2 years also. And some, even if it is like a manic episodes along with the depression happening with the depressive episodes, it might sometimes take even the more chronic cases, it might take even the lifelong treatment for the depression too.
Right. Okay. So
But
willingness
I
and
have seen
effort.
clients, I have really seen clients who are into such kind of having a depressing episodes again and again, thrice
Okay.
and 4 times. Then the medication part really goes, and the therapy goes real long time, long process,
Right. Right.
and it also
Okay.
requires rehabilitation also. Then, if it
Yes,
goes to
definitely.
that level, then
So depending on the severity level, rehabilitation would
severity
be
level,
needed.
yes,
Right.
yes.
Okay. So along with other factors, the willingness and efforts of the person is also something that is very important when it comes to
Very
curing
important. Yeah.
depression. Okay.
Just to add again, again in psychiatry, we do something called as mental status examination,
Yes. Yes.
wherein we assess component of insight of a particular case or
Yes.
client. And usually when insight is of 6 levels, right?
Right.
So if we have level 5 to 6 ka insight, which is we say as emotional insight and intellectual insight, then those cases have better chance of achieving quicker cure, because once you have emotional and intellectual insight that you are having an issue, you need
Right.
help, and probably even the client is getting aware of the factors which are creating the depression, then he is more compliant towards treatment, he is more open towards therapy, he is more open towards practicing all the therapeutic techniques that we tell
Right.
him.
Right.
So then when that happens, then definitely, as ma'am also rightly said, then in that case definitely cure is very much possible, and that too
Right.
within not so longer time. But if insight is partial or poor in terms of awareness about illness, or awareness about depression, what is causing it, or at times even denial of certain things,
Right.
then
Right.
it becomes difficult to cure.
Okay. Okay. So insight is again another important factor for getting out of this. Okay. Okay. So are there any common motivational factors, like, most common motivational factors for people who are depressed to come out of depression? So I know it depends on person to person, like everyone would have their own motivational factor, but some of the common factors that every one of you would have seen in your practice. So anybody who would like to answer this question?
Basically, awareness of the mental health is very, very important. See, if a
Right.
person is really very, very aware of what are the mental health issues and how well it affects the individual, and it is really very important, the physical health as well as the mental health is very, very important for the
Right.
well-being.
Right.
Unless and until this kind of psychoeducation is not there in the client, and it really becomes very difficult for the client to approach, and that really acts as a motivating. Like just
Okay.
to add on it, like I had one client who, before coming to me, he had talked so much about the depression. He really knew what is CBT and what therapies to be used and what type of medications are given and who look after the kind of a medication and how much time would really take. So see, if a person is really well aware of this kind of psychoeducation is there, and even the strong support system the person has, then
Right.
in that
Right.
case it would be really motivating the person to come out of this depression as well as to approach for a help too.
Definitely. Right. So
I,
one
I
of
just
the
want to add.
Yes, ma'am,
I
please.
just want to add over here. Ma'am said correctly, that when the client comes and the client has a belief that going for mental support or mental health, and I will overcome the depression. This
Yes.
belief is, yes, I'm going through depression, and has addressed he himself has addressed the depression. Then
Right.
it is
Right.
easier to work also. But when the person says, nahi, kuch with a very negative thought, or at times we find the near and dear family members also very negative, कि
Right.
नहीं इसको ये है, and they keep on repeating the negative words, then there is no motivation,
Right.
and they try to at times take a easy way. ये तो depressed है, तो now this work can't be done. This is it somehow starts helping them in some way.
Right. So when negative thoughts are reinforced by the people around, it's something that demotivates them.
Yes, and they try to take sort of this becomes more, this depression word, I am depressed, something
Yes.
sort of and you can say pillar for them to go ahead in life. As a this is, but if we have proper people around them where it is addressed, fine, this is one thing, it will be overcome with a very positivity. That
Right.
works for
Right.
better.
Okay. So what are other factors that motivates them to, actually work on or take efforts to come out of depression?
In my practice, as well as even in my personal life, where I did went through a little bit phase of depression,
Okay.
most of the female clients who are married and who have kids,
Right.
usually I have seen that their major motivator is to get better for kids. Maybe
Okay.
that is
Right.
not how
Right.
we might think psychologically. This is again an external motivator, but
Yes.
at least in practice, practice I have seen that either it is for some loved one that they have to get better. You know, once I had a couple of clients coming to me and saying, ki, okay, that day, you know, my 4-year-old kid came to me and he wiped my eyes and he said, Mama, don't cry, I can't see you in pain. And that kind of just clicked, and she immediately went to the counselor and the therapist. That is, she connected to me, and that was the reason she told me that I've been battling with this for 2 years, and I was not sure if I could come. But you know, that incident really hit me, and now I want to get better for my child. You know, so majority of the cases, external motivators in terms of somebody whom they love a lot and they can't see them suffering, acts as a motivator to come out of it and to fight for it.
Right. Okay.
A feeling of need and wanted. When the depressed person is also wanted back in the society, the need is there. Then you feel, yes, I have to do it. I should address it because there is a need for me. But if the depressed person feels I am labeled, I am in corner of the house, not needed. So that person doesn't want to go away from it. Also, get from depression, get away from it.
Right. Okay. So when a person feels that I am actually needed in the society or with for the people around me, they actually take efforts to come out of that, and it becomes one of the important motivating factors. Okay. Anybody else has anything to add on?
I really sorry. No, I just wanted to say I really like this point when she said. I mean, I never thought of like that. You know, when somebody, your loved ones, they make you feel that you know you are wanted or you're needed. You still have. I mean, that affects a lot. That will have a great impact. But I have a question on that. Like, even if the loved ones, they show that you're needed or things. When a person is in a state of depression, is he in a state to understand and take that information, or sometimes that can take him towards guilt also, saying that they need me but I'm not there to support them, and can that again take them further into depression? I mean,
Just I want to say over here, if the person goes for a guilt, maybe that will act positive to go for work upon it. Because I am for my loved one, I have gone for a guilt because I would say from my personal experience also, and a very close friend, client I was dealing, that person was having marital discord, and it was the lady. She was in the depression. But one Friday, she saw that her son was just running the road in a very, disturbed way. And that disturbed her because we are creating disturbance in the family. My son would have met an accident. He was moving on the road, and there was a fight between husband and wife. And she saw from the veranda that the son is moving. That very moment triggered a lot, and she started feeling guilty. But that guilt only made her come to a counselor, and she really worked upon it, and it was felt that it was depression, but it was due to some distorted thought, and they are living happily now. Because then she realized, and after some days, she made her husband also feel what wrong where we were. So it was, she came out of it, and she started educating people. So at times this guilt triggers also in a positive fashion. I mean, it's a very personal experience I felt.
Okay.
On this point, I've experienced this.
Right. Okay.
I would like to share something.
Yes, ma'am, please.
Pardon?
Yes, Geeta, ma'am, please continue.
Yeah. I would like to share my own experience. Unconditional love, acceptance, and to make the person feel that you are very important. Nothing is more important than you.
Right.
You are most important for me. This is one of the very motivational factor to come out of this state. And non-judgmental friend who accepts the person fully, and the person is also connected to the person is comfortable, and to whom the person loves and trusts. So if that the friend is non-judgmental and fully accepting the person, that is the biggest motivational factor, and it brings a good cure. Besides it, I have felt and I have experienced by my own efforts that yoga, and even though it's not easy, a person who is depressed is
Yeah.
not going to do yoga or physical exercises so easily. But anyhow, if we manage to maintain a schedule and make the person do, I have seen on my own, the person started smiling after some time doing the physical exercises. I
Yeah.
mean, the hormonal chemical flow of hormones and these good hormones caused the person a smile. I have experienced it on my own with my efforts with a depressed case. So this all was I wanted to share with you all. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am, for sharing your experience. Madhuri, ma'am, I hope you are clear with your question. I
Yes.
mean, I hope
Yes.
you got the answer.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean a very strong point that both of them
Mhm.
made, and yeah, thank you.
Okay. Since Geeta ma'am also spoke about relapse, so what are the chances of relapse for depression? Bharti ma'am, would you like to answer? Hello. Anybody else would like to answer?
Hello.
Yes, Bharti
Yeah,
ma'am.
ma'am, there are chances when the antidepressant are giving to the patient, and they are pre-termination. There is a pre-termination of the antidepressant, then
Okay.
it may lead to the relapse. And
Okay.
there are some triggering uh, events in
Mhm.
uh, in his life, and there are different kind of stressors are there uh, for those that patient is vulnerable. So
Mhm.
these may be the factors for the relapse.
Okay. Okay. But so do we say that
And
relapse
sometimes
is
one more
yes,
point I want to add.
yes, ma'am.
Sometimes there are seasonal disorders.
Right.
Like
Right.
if person is having those disorders, then
Mhm.
there is chances of relapse.
Okay. Okay. So,
These
do we
things
say
and
that relapse rates are high or moderate or low? Like, where can we, put depression in which range can we put depression, the relapse rate for depression?
this point, some I can't respond. If
Okay.
someone has some idea, please respond.
Yes. Anybody who would like to answer?
So, depression by, if you see all the depressive disorders per se,
Mm-hmm.
different depressive disorders have different prognosis.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
For example, major depressive disorder tends to have a little poorer prognosis with frequent
Mhm.
relapses associated with it.
Right.
Again, as one of the experts here said, that it can be variable because, again, the same biopsychosocial model and the etiological factors, the
Mhm.
combination in which the framework in which the client is in, if the
Right.
other factors are not taken care of, persistent
Mhm.
stressors continue, persistent triggers continue, the core maladaptive traits, if any, are not dealt with completely,
Mhm.
then the relapses are always going to be, I would say, moderate to high.
Okay.
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 In
Right.
lifetime, there is very much chance that a person who has one episode of depression gets
Mhm.
somewhere even between 4 to 5 episodes of depression.
Right.
And there are various theories for that, including biological theory, where they say that even one incidence or one major stressor which triggers depression scars your neuronal system in such a way that the changes in the neuronal system itself are long lasting. So
Right,
in the
right.
wake of, even if you recover, in the wake of any other event which is not highly stressful, or which is pretty otherwise normal, might still trigger a depression because of the scarring that has
Okay.
occurred at
Right,
the
right.
biological level, at the cognitive level. And that's why depression does have chances of relapses if it is not, first episode is not dealt well completely. And the only way to probably handle the relapses better is that we psychoeducate the patient. We deal
Right.
with the complete adaptive patterns in complete way to, so that the
Yes,
relapse doesn't occur. And even if it occurs, it becomes manageable.
right.
And we give skills to the patient to identify if the relapse starts and approach well in time when he's
Right,
under our
right, right.
treatment first episode itself. Because yes,
Okay,
relapses are quite frequently seen.
right. Okay, okay. So my last question for the day would be, what are different treatment models for depression? Like the most effective ones.
Medications would be the most effective,
Right.
and along with medication, psychotherapies are also very effective. Both needs to be done simultaneously. So
Okay,
if it
okay.
is a, then definitely the medications are very much needed. But if it is a mild depression, the CBT and psychotherapies where the interpersonal relationships or the family kind of a family therapy to be done, that psychosomatic treatment also really works well. Okay.
Okay.
And if at all they are severe, then it really requires medications. And even if it is, say, a lot of suicidal tendencies are there, yeah, then in that it's very advisable to even take referral to a psychiatrist for the medications part.
Right. Okay. Anybody else would like to add
Yeah,
anything?
if a patient is having a severe depression and with suicidal thoughts
Right.
or psychotic features, then electroconvulsive therapy is required with medication.
Okay, okay. Great. So,
Uh,
yes.
Sorry. Can I add, like what Geeta ma'am said,
Yes.
at last questions answer was
Yes.
like, if you are asked them to do some exercise or yoga and all. So I believe for mild, maybe for mild depression, I don't know about, severe depression, but for mild depression, what I believe is getting into physical activities and following the routines, whether you wish to or not is not a question, is just follow the routine.
Right.
So these two, I think, would help a lot in depression.
Yes,
So because we do
definitely.
that with athletes, like we don't allow them to stop their training, when they are very
Yes.
down. So like, okay, you have to come tomorrow. We'll talk about this. You
Hmm.
have to come for the training tomorrow. So I believe that these two will also help.
Right. So sticking to routine is, we can say, the starting point of, getting better.
Yeah,
Okay.
because it is said
Yes.
that you don't do things after you get better. You get better by doing things.
Doing things.
That is what
Absolutely.
I always tell to my patients when they are, like, nahi ho raha hai, ya kaise karu,
Yes.
So that is thing. And yes, of course, integrated way usually works best, as all of you rightly said.
Yes.
In that, we have allopathic medications, severe cases, suicidal tendencies, yes, psychotic features, they need electroconvulsive therapies, homeopathy, other naturopathic treatments.
Right. Right.
It is eventually it is the patient who needs to get better. So whatever
Right.
helps. So I have patients who come and say, okay, doctor, I was doing this pranic healing and that is also helping me. Should I continue? I'm like, go ahead. Whatever works the best for you,
Yes.
not
Yes.
not necessarily that you stick to only my psychotherapy or my homeopathic medications or only to allopathic medications. Not necessary. So
Right.
integrated plan. And not just that, I have also noticed that at what point of time, what interventions you want to start with becomes very crucial.
Right.
Whether you want to start first the medications, then the psychotherapy, or first the psychotherapy, then the medications, whichever it is. And then how to take the patient, how to wean it off also becomes very important. And when you try of managing depression, so we have various models, but how to apply them is something very much needs to be focused upon.
Right, right.
Integrative approach
Absolutely.
works the best.
So depending on the person, we would choose a different ways of dealing with it.
Ways of dealing.
Yeah.
Right.
At times I feel mirroring also work. I mean, when the client is depressed, and mirroring really works, just for the empathy part on the, I mean, just the initial healing, you can say. And then, as you said, ma'am said, no, Dr. Ananya ma'am, that we have to choose what will come first, but it depends upon the client. First time, many times we need to just by mirroring, the client starts settling down in the mind. Oh, that means this is just a phase of life, we will get over it. When that phase is gone inside the mind, then I think dealing with therapies or medicine is easier. I feel that way. I mean, that stage has to come when the client comes and realizes, nay, I can do it. I mean, it is just a passing phase. I mean, it identifies the issue, accepts the issue, whichever way we say it.
Exactly. So coming to the realization point is very much important. Okay.
Few things I want to add here. Like if we see that the patient's sleep is badly disturbed, his appetite is also badly disturbed, his functionality is badly disturbed, then you go for first go for the medication and then therapies. In therapies also, like depressed patient feels very lethargic, they become inactive. जो भी I want to say whatever activity they were interesting earlier, they are not able to do that. So first we should activate their behavior. That leads chemical changes in their brain, and if they are able to do small tasks in a day, then they should be rewarded by themselves or support system that give them motivation. So this will help them to overcome.
Okay. So can we say the best model would be first working on the motivational part of the, like, for the person, and then deciding of depending on the person about which plan or which therapy would work the best?
Yes, correct.
It has to be customized.
Right. It has to be tailor-made for them. Okay. So it was indeed an amazing discussion today, and I'm so glad to be a part of this. And I have actually got to know a lot of new things which I wasn't really aware of. And thank you everyone for giving your inputs. I'm looking forward for more discussions like this. So thank you everyone for your presence and giving your insights.
Thanks a lot.
Even
Most
I
welcome.
got
It was
to
a
learn a lot of
lovely
things.
session.
Thanks a lot. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks a lot, Nirali, for being a very good host too.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Very true. Excellent host.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bye, dear. Good night. Good night, everybody. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Yeah. Bye.
Bye.